Hi, Mark Pelly, Registered Migration Agent at Visas to Australia. We're a leading migration agency based in Melbourne and also have a remote office in Diamond Creek. Today, we're going to be talking about the Child Visa Subclass 101, which is applied for when the child is outside of Australia. The Child Visa allows a child of Australian parents who currently are outside Australia to move and live with their parents in Australia. Cost of the visa is $2,470 at the time of making this video, however, it may be more by the time you watch it. This visa is suitable for biological or stepchildren of Australian citizens, permanent residents, or eligible New Zealand citizens. The child needs to be outside Australia at the time of making the application and when a decision is made by the department. This visa allows your child to migrate to Australia as a permanent resident. As such, they'll be entitled to Medicare, to study or live in Australia, and eventually apply for Australian citizenship if eligible. To be eligible for the Child Visa Subclass 101, your child would need to be a dependent child of a parent who is an Australian citizen, permanent resident, or New Zealand citizen. The applicant, as in your child, either needs to be your biological child or a stepchild. They will also need to be single and dependent on the parents. Of course, the child needs to be outside Australia when the application is made and when a decision is made. If your child is a stepchild, then to be eligible for this visa, the stepchild must be the child of the step-parent's former partner and be under the age of 18 years old. The step-parent must have either an Australian parenting order in force saying that the child is to live with them and to be looked after by them, or guardianship or custody of the child under Australian guardianship law or the law of another country. If your child is adopted, then you may want to consider the Subclass 102 adoption visa, unless of course you were not an Australian citizen at the time of adoption. The child must be sponsored by an eligible parent or the parent's spouse or de facto partner. The Department of Immigration must approve the sponsorship. They might not approve the sponsorship if the parent or spouse or the de facto partner has been charged or convicted of offences relating to children. The child must be under 18 or between 18 and 25 and a full-time student, or over 18 years old with a full disability. If the child is between 18 and 25 and they're a full-time student, then they must maintain full-time student status when they apply for the visa and when it is granted. Also, they cannot be working full-time. A child is considered to be a full-time student if they are enrolled in a full-time course that leads to professional trade or vocational qualification. The child must be financially dependent on the parents more than any other person. If the child is over 18 years of age and with a disability, then they must have a total or partial disability in terms of a loss of their bodily or mental capacity, such that they cannot work full-time. The child must have no partner and the child cannot ever have been married or in a de facto relationship. They also cannot have been engaged. The child and any dependents that apply with them must meet all health criteria. Health requirements are discussed in a separate video, but in summary, you cannot have health issues that are considered to be a risk to public health. These include tuberculosis, polio, HIV, hepatitis, Ebola virus, and the yellow fever. If the child is over 16 years of age, then they must meet the character requirements. The department might also ask that other family members meet the character requirements. The child must have no outstanding debt to the Australian government, and all children over the age of 18 must sign the Australian value statements. The child must have consent to migrate to Australia, and this is the most important point of this visa. You must have consent of all relevant parties to migrate to Australia. The department will only grant the visa if the child, who is younger than 18, has either the written consent of everyone who can legally decide what happens to the child, and the laws of the home country allow them to leave their home country, and or the visa is consistent with an Australian child order about the child. In other words, it must be in the best interest of the child to apply and permanently reside in Australia. The department might not grant the visa if they consider it is not in the best interest of a child under 18. To understand more about this visa, the Child Visa Subclass 101 is a permanent visa that allows the child to travel to and from Australia for up to 5 years. After this point, the child can remain in Australia. However, if they decide to travel, when they want to return, they'll need to apply for a resident return visa or alternatively consider Australian citizenship if eligible. If the child has siblings that want to apply, then each child needs to submit separate applications. If the child, who is under 18, has their own children, then they can apply at the same time as the application or before a decision is made by the department. The Child Visa Subclass 101 costs several thousands of dollars to apply for. To ensure that your application is done right and that your application avoids any unnecessary delays, be sure to contact myself, Mark, at Visas to Australia. We can provide you with professional assistance to help you produce all the substantial amounts of documentation to make sure any claims made in the application are verified and to avoid any lengthy and confusing unnecessary details. If you fail to correctly apply for the Child Visa Subclass 101, your application could be rejected by the department, whereby you'll either need to apply or appeal to the tribunal, or you could have to apply for this visa all over again. Therefore, we recommend you do not put your child visa application at risk. Contact myself and book an appointment with Visas to Australia. Links and contact details can be found in the details below. Mark Pelly from Visas to Australia here, Principal Registered Migration Agent. I look forward to speaking with you about the Child Visa Subclass 101 or any other migration matter. Give us a call today.